5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
We will begin the blast off Snuggle Sack in just a moment. Hi everyone, it's Mikey and I'm proud to introduce a brand new pattern series by yarnspirations.com. It's called the Sleep and Snuggle Sack series. On screen now are other sleep sacks that are available in free pattern and tutorial format. Whimsical and delightful projects that will practically guarantee a warm smile from boys and girls. Super terrific for gift giving and much more. If you're wanting to try another sleep sack, then just click to play and I'll forward you directly to the next one. If you're wanting to do today's project, well, don't wait any further. Let's get started right now. Welcome back to the Crochet Crowd as well as yarnspirations.com. I'm your host Mikey. Let's begin today's tutorial on working on this fabulous Blast Off Snuggle Sack by yarnspirations.com. Today's tutorial is a comprehensive start to finish project. In fact, I'm actually working behind the scenes in between the filming takes to be able to show you what to do step by step. The main body of the ship is actually two panels sewn together. It's shaped in a progressive increase from the tail to the main body. Then from the main body to the hull, it's a progressive decrease. This ship is like an homage to the original ships back in the early movies. It's nostalgic, at least to me, in many ways. This spaceship, minus the filming and preparation time, took me approximately 14 hours to make. This project could be done in a couple days, and that's of course if you don't get distracted. On screen now is the anatomy of the spaceship, and we will return back to my workshop chalkboard in between each lesson. There are 5 steps involved in making this spaceship. So enough chitter chatter, let's examine the pattern and let's start from there. So let's do our pattern review. The free pattern is included. It's a 3-page pattern just like you see here. Of course the child is inside of the snuggle sack. So what you're seeing here is not a round and around and around cocoon. It's actually 2 panels that are sewn together on the sides just like you see here. The portholes are only on the upper side. There's no portholes that he's lying on. And then there's 2 fins and they're both the same pattern, and then you just make 2 of those and just put those on, and then the flame. So what we have here is the instructions. So we need 4 balls of the carrot orange, 1 ball of school bus yellow, and that's to do the flame and the portholes of course. And then we have the dark teal, which is the fins and the nose cone and just the tail. And then we have the vintage white, which is inside of the portholes. So everything that you need here is in this side, this pattern, but I have to say I've done a little bit something for you that will make this a lot easier for you to be able to follow as well. So here's what my pattern looked like after I was done with it. I had a lot of notes written on this thing, and the reason for it is that there's a lot of repeat patterning going on here because of studies increasing and decreasing. So for example, in the fin it says repeat rows 3 and 4 for rows number 5 all the way to 16. So I found with myself I was just writing all these notes to make sure that I got them all, and then eventually I moved along, and then you get rows 21 to 26, 27 to 30, and so you're finding yourself doing that, and the main body is also like this. So what I did is that I created a worksheet that I could follow along. So these are only showing the worksheet for the progressive rows. So it says main body repeats rows 3 and 4 11 times as it indicates in the pattern. So I wrote what it was that it's asked me to do. So as I go I just have to check mark my boxes as I go, and so then I move into the next section of the main body where it's asking me to repeat again, repeat the last 4 rows twice as it says in the pattern. Here's what that 4 rows were. I check it off as I go. So I have 4 pages of notes of what I did just like you see here. So this was the hull. We're doing a decrease, so we had to repeat this particular instruction 11 times. So I check it off as I go, and I just found this was a lot easier for myself as I was working my way through. So this particular one, this is rows 5 to 16 for the rocket fins, and so basically I just have to check it off, and keep going every time I finish something. So this is something I did for myself because I found with myself there's just never enough space to write on a pattern, and if you don't have sticky notes then this would be available. So I'm gonna provide this particular chart or a particular document on the crochetcrowd.com under this particular pattern, and you can download it and use it if you need to. So today's tutorial we're going to work in order exactly how it's saying in the pattern. So it's going to say make two alike, and so front and back. So front and back is the main body panel all the way to the nose, and so we're going to make two alike, and just like so. The pins, there's making two alike. The portholes, there's three alike, and so we're just going to follow along and go as we progress through this pattern. This pattern is really not a big deal. There's just a little bit extra components and there's a little bit of unusualness to it, but of course it's a rocket, so what do you expect, right? So let's begin, and we're going to start off with the main body first. Okay, so let's start at the very beginning, and starting from the back tail area and working our way forward to the main body. We will do two panels and they are identical to each other, so let's begin. So let's begin working on this pattern. We're going to start on the bottom right here, and then we're going to progressively get bigger, and it's just really going to be amazing. We need to make two of these, and so we're going to start off in the bottom, get all the way to up here, and then this here has the section of the hull being separate. I'm going to separate this in the tutorial, but in the main body it's just going to show a decrease as we get there, and I'll indicate that when we get there as well. And then we're going to do that first. So let's start off with the main body. So let's begin. I'm using an 8mm size L crochet hook. Please make sure that you check the gauge in order to, we're doing this just in case you're a little bit too tight. So let's begin, and we're going to create a slip knot and insert our hook. So to start right on the very bottom, it's just nice and simple. There's just going to be a total of 22 chains. So remember, the first one never counts as one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, go all the way to 22 for me. Meet me back here in just a moment. So my 22 are now complete. Let's go third chain from the hook. So just look underneath the chain. So 1, 2, and 3. Simply just yarn over, and we're going to do a half double crochet in the third one, and we're going to apply a half double crochet all the way across your chain. So please do that, and I'll see you on the other side. So just wrap the hook going into the back of the chain just with one loop, and you get a perfect ending every time when you go to look at this side. So please do that all the way to the end of the chain. So I'm all the way to the other side. You should know that there's a note on this pattern that the first chain 2 of any of these rows throughout this whole pattern, the regular rules apply that the first chain 2 doesn't count as anything. So here you see a chain 2, but because we skipped over to the third one, so that doesn't count as anything. So you're just going to count in over, and you should have a total of 21 of these posts going all the way across. This turn will work, and move up to row number 2. Row number 2, again chaining 2. It doesn't count as anything. It's more of a filler and a builder. And so we're going to go right into the same one right underneath, and we do this with half double crochet generally, and we're going to just half double crochet ourselves all the way across. So we're not doing any increasing at this moment. We're going to begin to do increasing shortly, but certainly not in the teal. When we get done this row, this is teal is completely done on your rocket already, and so you just got to let it go, and we're going to meet back here, and I'll show you how to fasten off, and we'll start on the main rocket next. So when you get to the other side, just be aware that the first chain 2 doesn't count as anything. So you don't want to say, okay, yeah, I got 3 stitches left, when in actual fact this one doesn't count as anything. It's more of a builder. So in only fact I only have 2. You just got to watch that for half double crochets. That's just a general rule. And so we just go right into the very ending one, and we stop just like that. Okay, so we're going to fasten off at this point. The teal is done, so we're just going to trim our yarn. I just use some scissors, and I'm just going to loop it over, and I'm just going to feed it in and amongst these stitches, just in and out, and then the next row is going to trap that really into position, and you don't really have to worry about it. So please fasten off at this point, and I will see you back here in a moment, and we're going to grab our carrot orange and then begin the main area of the rocket. So let's begin the next color. So what we have here is that this is where I fastened off, okay, and it's woven in. So I want to turn my work first before I fasten on to the carrot orange, and I want to create a slip knot to begin. Insert my hook, and I want to come into the very top to where I had finished. Okay, just insert your hook in, let that straggler just fall out of place, and then we're going to trap that in as we go. So let's just join it with a slip stitch, and I need you to chain 2. So chaining 2 again doesn't count as anything, so just remember that throughout today's pattern. So we're going to begin in doing some increasing right now, starting in the orange. So this doesn't count as anything, and we need to go into the same stitch underneath, and we need to half double crochet twice into that same stitch. Okay, so 1 and 2. Now just keep that straggler down on top of the line so it traps it in position, and now I want you to move across the row and just half double crochet. And the only difference is going to be on the other side, the last stitch that you do, there's going to be 2 half double crochets put in. So the nice thing about this particular rocket, at least in the main body, is that what happens on one side of the rocket happens on the other. So if you're going to increase on this side, it's going to increase on the other side when you get over there. So I'll see you there in just a moment. So I'm coming up on the other side and just coming into the last stitch. Remember that this chain 2 doesn't count as one, so you just got to go in the top, and you're putting in 2 half double crochets into the final. So this was row number 3, and the reason why I call that attention to you is that we're gonna have to repeat this row for 11 times in the near future, but not quite yet. So let's turn our work and let's do row number 4. So the nice thing about it is that rows 3 and 4 are the repeat pattern for 11 times altogether. So what we want to do for row number 4 is that we're gonna chain up 2, doesn't count as anything, and we immediately start in the same stitch right underneath, and we're going to half double crochet ourselves across the line. So if you notice the pattern, it says repeats rows 3 and 4 a total of 11 times. So you have to do 3 and 4 for 1 time, 3 and 4 for 2 times, and continue to do that until you get 11 times. And I have a worksheet that I've written out that you can use as well. I provided that on the crochetcrowd.com for this particular pattern. If you wish, it's a downloadable copy, and it'll save you some time as well because it's just all laid out for you. So I'll review that in just a moment, but this is row number 4, where it's just straight half double crochets all the way across. So if you're picking up on the clue now, row number 3 we increased on both sides. We're putting 2 in the beginning and the end, and in row number 4 we're just straight doing half double crochets. And so I'll see you back here in just a moment. Actually, I'm almost done this row, so let me just get to the end. Now that I've lost my rhythm, and I'm continuing to go across. So because one row that you're increasing in this row you're not, it's gonna progressively cone out just like it shows in the photograph, and because of that you get a really great shape. So we're gonna come right into the end and just 1 half double crochet. So what we're going to do then is that you need to repeat rows 3 and 4 a total 11 times. Let me bring up my worksheet and show you more about that. So as per the worksheet, we just did rows 3 and 4. So it says do this 11 times. So what I want you to do, you can use the worksheet or you can use spare piece of paper, it's up to you, is that we're gonna go back and do row number 3. Once you do it, check it off. Do row number 4 again, check it off. So therefore you've repeated that once. Do it again, just like what you see. So I put the columns over, and so you can just check it off. So let's turn our work and let's do up row number 3 again for 1 repeat, just to show you what to do. So turning our work, we're gonna repeat rows number 3. So row number 3, remember it was chaining at 2, doesn't count as anything. You come into the first one, a total of 2 half double crochets into the first. Okay, there's your increase, and then you just half double crochet yourself all the way across, and the very final stitch on this one you're gonna put 2 half double crochets into the same. So what I want you to do is that I want you to repeat these rows for a total of 11 times, and you can just follow along, and when I pick back up, we'll pick up further on in this project. I don't need to show you each and every one of these particular rows. It's just a repeat of what you already know, and you're gonna notice it's gonna progressively get bigger on you, and that's exactly what you want to do. So don't forget, so the end of row number 3 you're going to put in 2 half double crochets. So now that I'm getting close to the end, I got 2 stitches left, and the very final one is going to be 2 half double crochets in this one. So what I can do now on my little workshop sheet, I can check off that I just repeated the one off in the one box, and then move up to row number 4, which is just a straight half double crochet. So you turn it, chain up 2, and then 1 half double crochet into each. So please do this for a total of 11 repeat times, and I will see you back here and we'll carry on in the rocket. So now I'm back and I've completed my rows that I needed to do, and now you'll see that there's a beautiful taper going on right from the start that we started. It gets bigger and bigger. What we have here is I have it on the sheet, and you can see where I messed up for a couple rows. I was losing count because I was looking at the cat too much, and so now I'm finished that. So now I'm gonna go back to the pattern and pick it up again, and then I will pick up my workshop sheet again when it has to do these repeat rows, and I'll bring that back here in the video when we get to that point. So let's move forward in the video and let's keep going. So moving forward in this video, we have, it says the next 3 rows are 1/2 double crochet into each. So what we're going to do now is that we're going to calm down the taper. So the taper has been going out progressive. Now we're going to calm down and slow it down a little bit so that it's going to get more and more to the size that it's got to be. So what we're going to do then for the next 3 rows is that we're just going to half double crochet, sorry. So you're going to chain up 2, 1, 2, and then just half double crochet into each. So please do this for 3 rows, and then we're going to come back and then pick it up again. And then what we need to do is that we need to come back and do this once again, or actually twice more after we get this whole section done. So just please do half double crochet for 3 rows at this moment, and I'll see you back here in just a moment. So I'm now coming up to the end of the 3rd row of just regular half double crochet. So what's calmed down is just flattened it up the edge, and now what we're going to do then is that we're going to do the next row, we're going to increase. So let's turn our work and let's do the next row. So the next row, it says that we have to put 2 half double crochets in the first one. So 1, 2, and sorry, that's your chaining of 1, 2, and then we put 2 in the first, and we're gonna half double crochet all the way across, and then at the end we're gonna put 2 in the end. So what we're going to do is that I'll meet you back there, and then I'll leave you with a set of instructions, and we'll turn back to my workshop sheet where we can continue to do some repeat patterns in order to move forward in this pattern. As you get to the end of the row, the last one in this one is going to be 2 half double crochets. So you're expanding it a little bit bigger. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn this work, and I'm going to bring back my workshop sheet, show you what to do, and then we'll continue from that point. So I have my workshop sheet. So what we've done is that we've done 3 half double crochets row. They're just 1 in each, and then the last one we just did was 2 half double crochets in the first and the last to do the expansion. So we've done it once. Now we're gonna repeat for 1 and 2 times. So it says repeat the last 4 rows twice in the instructions, and this is what it is. So what I want you to do is I want you to do 3 more rows of half double crochet, then 2 into the first and the last again, and then do it again. So half double crochet into each for the 1, 2, and 3 again, and the next one here is 2 into the first and last. So as you go along, just check it off. So I'm gonna leave this for you, so please do this set of instruction now, and we'll come back, and we're getting really far into the project at this point, and then it's gonna become very easy for about 18 inches or so, and I'll explain that as we get there. So I'm now back, and I did my repeats just like so, and now the easy part for the remainder of this rocket is really kind of cool. So until we get to the nose cone or the hull, of course. So what we're gonna do now for the remainder is that we need to get the total length, okay, so right from the bottom here all the way up to here with a total of 45 inches. So once you have to get this far, you're just gonna do 1 half double crochet in each and just continue to grow it. Now you'll see in the photo that it looks like it's kind of like continuing to get bigger. It's just because it's the way it's staged, but in actual fact from about here to about here is the same width going all the way across. So don't get confused by that. So what you're looking for, just as a quick reminder, so 45 inches right from the base here, right from the very start to about here. So just pick up your hook and just continue to half double crochet into each. So again, it's just half double crochet into each, so chain 2 and 1 into each as you go all the way across, and then keep turning your work as you go back and forth. So get your total of 45 inches done, and then meet me back here, and then we'll move to the next chapter, which will be the hull of this ship. Okay, so now I'm back, and I have now my 45 inches from the top all the way to the bottom section, and the bottom being over here. So I just have it folded out just like you see. So now I'm ready to move on. Now if this is your second one, this is the second one for me, is that I laid this over top of the other one that I've already done to make sure that the orange matches with each other. Let me show you an example here on the sheet of paper. So what I did is that I laid it down, even though the other one is complete with the hull, is that I made sure that this orange, when it laid over top, is exactly matching each other. And because they're matching each other, I can safely then sew it up together. So even though I measured before and it was 45 inches, and even though I measured again it was 45 inches for this one, you never know. You never know if you were tired when you did it the first time. So it's best to overlay it when you do the second one. So what we're going to do now is that we're going to fasten off this one here, and we're now done with the orange, and we're going to move on to doing the hull next, and that's the next chapter. We'll see you then. Great job. Now let's move on to the hull of the ship, where we're going to progressively decrease, and it gets quicker to finish as we run out of stitches. Don't forget, you have to do both of the panels. So welcome to the haul, and that's what we're going to do next. So you have a choice. You can either do one panel at a time, so you can do this base all the way here and then continue and then do the second one, or you can do both of these main bodies here and then do the hulls at the same time. Either way, it's going to end up with the same result. So let's move on to the hull. The hull is really quite easy. It gets quicker and quicker because we're going to start off in the fat area here, or the widest, and then we're going to get quicker and quicker as we're reducing stitches, and it's a repeat pattern as well for most of that as well. So let's begin and look at the hull. So as we move along to the hull, you have my workshop sheet here, and there's going to be a repeat pattern of 11 times of reducing our stitches. So on the first stitch and the last stitch we're doing half double crochet 2 together. So this little sheet will help you be able to do that. So let's show you how to do that, and then we're going to repeat 11 more times, and you'll see it getting more and more narrow, and then we're going to get ourselves pretty close to the top, and then we'll finish it off at that point. So let's begin, and I am using the teal color, and I'm going to create a slip knot, and I'm going to fasten on to where I had finished off here, so at the very top, and we're going to be doing some reduced stitches at this point. So let's just slip stitch it like this, and we're going to chain 2, which doesn't count as anything. Leave down the straggler so that you can trap it under position. So we're going to be doing 2 together. It's a half double crochet 2 together, and so you're going to wrap the hook, go into the same stitch because it's the beginning, going in, okay, and then I want you to put this over top so it gets stuck underneath, so pull through, and then go to the very next one, so yarn over, going into the next stitch, pull through, and you have 5 loops on your hook. So in order to do the reduction, you just have to pull through all 5, and then suddenly 2 stitches just became 1 when you look at the top. So the remainder of this row all the way across is just 1 half double crochet each. Leave the straggler down on top for this row so that you can get it stuck underneath. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to meet you at the end of this row where I'll show you how to do a half double crochet decrease again, and then we have to repeat this row several more times, a total of 11 times, and I'll show you how to get started too on the next row of that. So meet me at the end of this row. So I'm quickly approaching the end. So the final 2 will be 2 together, and it'll be half double crochet 2 together. So I want to get there, and so you can always identify when you're done. So you got 2 stitches left here. Remember, this is a chain 2, that doesn't count as anything. So yarn over, go into the next stitch, pull through, keep that on the hook, yarn over, go into the final stitch, pull through. You have 5 loops on your hook like before, yarn over and pull through all of that, and so these 2 just became 1 at the top. So you can already see it's starting to do an indentation in. So let's turn our work, and I'm going to show you. So this is going to be repeat row for the 11 times, so I'm just going to show you it once, and so we're going to chain up 2. So 1 and 2. So this one here right where it's in is going to be that one, so yarn over and pull through, and then go to the next one. So you're doing 2 together again, you got 5 loops, pull through all of that, and that just became again into 1. So you can see that it keeps it going into the point just like this. So the rest of it, other than the final 2, it's just gonna be half double crochets all the way across. I'll meet you back on the other side, and remember, this is a repeat row number 1 out of 11 times that you need to do this. So I'm coming up all the way across to the other side, and I have to make the final 2 into 1. The trick is to make sure that you are identifying the final 2 properly in order to make sure that you keep that angle going up for the nose of your rocket ship. So let's just continue, and I'm almost there, and let's take a look at the stitches and see where we are. So okay, so look at it here. Okay, this is the 2 coming together, so here is your final stitch. Just look right up where those 2 together are. So in actual fact I have 3 stitches left, so 1, 2, and 3. So the next one I can just safely do as a half double crochet, and then these are the 2 finals, just going in, pulling through, and then going to your final stitch, which is straight up from that other one. You got your 5 back on the hook and pull through all of those, and again your angle is maintaining. So what I want you to do is come back to your sheet, and I'll show you just in 1 second. So back on the sheet, I've just done a repeat of row number 1 already with you just to make sure that you got it. So now you just got to repeat again. It's 10 more times if you're following this direction exactly as is. And I will see you back here at the end of this, and because all it is just half double crochets 2 together for the front and the last, and you just got to make it, and it will get more and more narrow. With each one you're eliminating 1 stitch on each side, so you're eliminating 2 stitches every time you go through a row. So it's just gonna get quicker and quicker because there's gonna be less stitches to work with. And I'll see you at the end of this, and we'll keep going. Okay, so now I'm back and I have my taper going up. It's equal on both sides, which I'm pretty happy about, and it should be anyway. And so I have my sheet and I checked it off as it went. So let's go back to the instructions and let's figure out what we're gonna do. We're now going to start speeding up the increase. So we've been going pretty steadily, and now we're just gonna come a little bit more narrower and then come to a point eventually at the top. Let's move along in the instructions. So what we're going to do now is that we're going to speed up the instructions. So now we're going to chain 2 this time, and instead of half double crocheting and 2 together in the first 2, what we need to do is that we need to do it twice. So what we're going to do is that we're going to do the first one, half double crochet 2 together. Okay, so the first 2 as we have been doing, pull it through, and once we get that one done, we're going to then do the next 2 and put those together just like that. So what's gonna happen on this particular row is that the first 2 are going to be 2 together. Okay, do you see that? The first 2 stitches, and then it's just gonna be half double crochets as you work your way across, and then you have to look for the final 4 stitches on this side. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So 2 of them will come 2 together, and then the final 2 will be 2 together. Please half double crochet yourself across this line. So now that I have the final 4 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, this is when I have to do the 2 together. So the first 2 are gonna be 2 together, just like this, and then the next final 2 are 2 together, just like this. We're gonna be doing this line again in the future, but not right in the next one. So that's the conclusion of that row. Let's turn our work and let's do the next row up. So the next row up, we're gonna chain 2. And this time only the first 2 are gonna be put together. So 2 together only once, and then the remaining across except for the final 2 will be 1 half double crochet. So we're gonna have a repeat pattern in just a moment. After we've done this line, we need to repeat the last line plus this line 2 more times each. So a total of 4 lines altogether. So I will bring that sheet back up and show you, and I will get to the end of this row. It's getting quicker and I'm getting closer to the ending of this ship. So I gotta look for the final 2 and bring those 2 together. So here's 1 and 2, and just bring those together with the half double crochet 2 together, just like that. Okay, so let's turn our work, and I'm going to show you the repeat pattern then you have to do for a few lines. So here's my sheet of paper, and we need to repeat the last 2 rows a total of 2 more times. So we have to do the first one first. So we did half double crochet 2 together twice in the beginning and the last, and then the next row after that was half double crochet together once in the beginning and the end. Then move down and do this one again twice, and then do this one here once. So it's a total of 4 lines in a row, and here's what you need to do. So you can check that off in your list. You know how to do it, and I'll see you at the end of this section. So I've now just done this as a repeat pattern, and here's where we are, and we have a total of 8 stitches left, which is correct. Let's begin. We just got a couple more rows to do. So for this one here, we have to put 2 together all the way across, and basically every 2 becomes 1, and because there's 8 stitches here, we just have only 4 of these that will be remaining once we get across. So just chaining up 2, and again putting 2 together all the way across, just like that. Okay, and then keep moving down, and we'll be back in just a moment, and I'll show you the final row for this one. So I'm just on the far side, and all I just need to do is put the last 2 together and turn our work, and the final row is just very easy. It's gonna be 4 together this time. So we've only been doing up to 2, so just chain 2, and essentially there's only 4 stitches, so 1, 2, 3, and 4, and I want you to just gather them up all together as you go across. So there's gonna be a lot of stuff going on your hook at this moment. That's okay, don't worry about it. Just get it all on there and just wiggle your yarn all the way through. And what I would do then is just see this yarn, just pull it over and there is the nose of your ship, just like this. So what you can just do now, just leave a little bit of an extra yarn tail, and then just move up and trim it, and that will conclude on doing the hull. And I'm just gonna weave in my ends, and then I can use a darning needle in order to really secure that in at a later time. So at this time I have my ship's main body done for the top and the bottom. Remember, this is not a round, so what I did on the top, I need to create a second so that I can put it together like so. So when I go to put it together, I'm going to be putting it together in the orange and leaving this whole area open so that the child can slip in right here. So we will not be sewing at all later on in today's tutorial along this edge here of the blue. So make sure you get both of your main bodies done, including your hull, and then we're gonna start the portholes next. Perfect. Now it's about accessorizing your ship. So you have the main body done, and now let's work on the portholes. There are 3 identical size portholes and are sewn on during the final assembly. There are no portholes in the back of this snuggle sack, so it's just the front side. So let's hook to it. So welcome to section 3. We're going to do the portholes next. All 3 are identical in the way that it's done. So what I've done for you is that I've actually done all 3 off camera already, so that I can show you how to do this with a different color yarn, because it's impossible to see white on my screen. So what I have here is a porthole just like this, and I've left an extra long strand here so I can sew this to the project when we go through the final assembly. So there's the back of it there, and it's just really quite easy to do, and we're going to be covering the porthole next. So let's create the very first porthole, and you're going to have to do 3 of these. Keep this strand a little bit of extra longer than it normally would be, and just create a slip knot. There's a reason why I'm asking you to do that, and I'll show you in just a moment. So I would need you to chain 2. So 1 and 2. Now going into the very first one, right where my thumb is, I want you to place 8 single crochets into that same one. This will cause it to go around in a circle. So 1, 2, going in, this is 3, go right up over top of this strand 2, this is 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. You're going to join it to the very first one, and if you're not sure, just count back, just look underneath the hook. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 is right there. As an experienced crocheter, I know where it is, but you might have to count back just in case. Okay, so what I have here is that you may have a hole right in the center, so using an extra long strand like this, at the end of this, what I'm gonna do is just put a darning needle through and go across, go once across and once across in the other direction, and that will seal that up so that you don't have to see anything coming out through the middle. Let's move along to round number 2. In round number 2, it's really quite straightforward. We're gonna chain up 1, and right where you've joined already is the first one, and so you're going to put 2 single crochets into that stitch. Now you're just gonna put 2 single crochets into every stitch going all the way around, and this would be round number 2. So just continue to go all the way around with putting 2 single crochets, and I'll see you back here in just a moment. So I have 2 into each, and when I'm done I just have to join it to the top of the first single crochet that I started with, and that is round number 2, just like that. Looks like a cookie, doesn't it? So let's move along to round number 3. So round number 3, continuing to get bigger, we're gonna chain up 1, and in the same one we are going to apply 2 single crochets into the same one. So 1 and 2. The next one that we have is going to be applying of just 1 single crochet. So the repeat pattern going all the way around on this one is the next one will have 2 single crochets, and the next one will have 1. Okay, so please do that same idea going all the way around. So I'm coming up all the way around. I just got 1 stitch left, and it is just 1 single crochet. So if you've been following along, 2 into 1, 1 into the next, 2 into 1, 1 into the next, you end up with just the 1 sitting by itself at the end, and then you're just going to join it to the top of the first stitch, or the first single crochet with the slip stitch, and that was the conclusion of round number 3. Okay, round number 4, we're gonna chain up 1, 2 single crochets into the same one that you did the join. So 1 and 2, and then the next two are by themselves. So move along, so 1 single crochet and 1 single crochet, so 2 in a row by itself, and then the next one will be 2 into the same one again. So 1 and 2, and then the next 2 are by themselves. Please do that same pattern going all the way around for round number 4. So in keeping with the same pattern, I just put 2 into the same one, and the final are 1 each in the next 2, just like that. And then we're just going to join it to the top of the beginning single crochet that we had started with. So now we're going to move on to round number 5. Round number 5, we're going to chain up 1, 2 into the first one. Okay, and this time it's going to be 3 single crochets in a row by themselves. So 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so the repeat pattern all the way around. The next one has 2 into the same one, so 1 and 2, and then the next 3 are by themselves. So 1, 2, and 3. Please do that all the way around. Coming up all the way around, I just put in 2, and then the final, there's only 3 stitches left, and they're all just 1 single crochet by themselves, and we join to the beginning single crochet that we had started with. Okay, so let's move along. We're now going to move up to round number 6. Round number 6, again easy, just chain up 1, and we're gonna put 2 into the first one like we have been all along. This time there's going to be 4 single crochets that sit by themselves. So let's do the 4. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And so the next one has 2 here. So here's your repeat pattern. So 2 into this one, and then the next 4 are single crochets by themselves. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Please do that all the way around. I'm coming up all the way around, just put 2 into the same one, so the final, there's just 1 single crochet into the final 4. Just like that. So let's join that and conclude that round off, and let's then move on to round number 7. Round number 7 is the final of this color, so your color would be white, so this will be the final of this one. So we chain up 1, and we put 2 single crochets to begin like we have been all along, and now the next 5 are by themselves. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so the next one, here's the repeat pattern, is 2 into the same one, and then the next 5 are by themselves. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So finish up this all the way around, and when we come back we're gonna fasten this off, and then we're gonna do the 8th round, which is the final, in order to make kind of like the window frame for the porthole. So I'm coming up all the way around. Here's 2 into the same one, and the final 5 are just 1 single crochet by itself. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And I want you to join it to the very beginning of the single crochet that we started with, and then what I want you to do is that I want you to finish off this yarn. So just grab your scissors and trim this, and we're gonna grab another color. In the case of the ship, it is the yellow, the school bus yellow, to move on to. I'm of course gonna choose a different color here, and just to make it easier for you to see. So finish this color off, weave in your ends, and when you go around the next time you can just bury this in, and you won't have to use a darning needle. So I'll see you back here in just a moment with the next color. So let's start round number 8. I'm going to start with a slip knot, and you should be using yellow, and right where you fastened off is exactly where you want to fasten on. Okay, and so I'm just gonna insert my hook here, and I want to just put the yarn over top and through, so like a slip stitch. Like a slip stitch, it is a slip stitch. So we're gonna chain 3, so 1, 2, 3. This counts as a double crochet, and now moving forward I want you to double crochet 2 times in a row. So just continue to move down around, and I just want to make sure I get into the right stitch, and I'm double crocheting 2 in a row. So 1 and 2. So the next one that we want to do is going to be 2 double crochets into the same stitch. Notice how I'm going up over top of this so that I can bury that in as well. So there's gonna be 2 into this one. So it's slightly different on the growth on how it is because we have switched to double crochet. So here's the repeat pattern. You're going to do 3 in a row. So 1 and 2 and 3. and then the next one is going to be 2 into the same one. So 2 double crochets, same one, and that allows it to turn perfectly, and so that your porthole will lie flat when you sew it to your project. Please do that same thing going all the way around. Meet you at the end, and then that's it, and I'm gonna show you a couple technique tips at the end. If you maintain your counts, I just put 2 into the same one. If you maintain the counts, remember how that we just started off with 1, 2 and 3 and then put the 2 in, so that means that this last stitch, if we're following the counts, should be 2 into the same one. So I just put 2 into the same one here, so there's 1 by itself, and we got 2 by itself and 3 by itself, and look at that, the last stitch is exactly the 2 that you need to put in there. Now if for any reason that you get back here and it's not balanced, there's nothing else that attaches to the round here, so if you haven't got it perfectly at this point, like your stitch counts, you can probably pretty much fake it. Nobody would really realize the difference. So that's how you would do this, and what you can do now is just fasten this off. Now when you go to fasten this off, leave an extra long string, probably about 3 feet long, and what you're gonna use that string for is that you're going to, I'm just gonna show you example, so I'm just gonna trim it, and so it'll be 3 feet long in your case. You're gonna pull through and you're just gonna let it be, and you're gonna do 3 of these. So next time you go to do this is that you're gonna use this long string and then sew this directly to the project. So with this string about 3 feet long, you're going to sew it directly to the project, and it's a kind of a cool thing. Now in the middle, it actually kind of closed up as I was working on it, but it's not perfect. It's not what I would prefer. So what I would do is that using this darning needle, is just put this onto a darning needle and just go across the way. So where you are, so I can go straight across, and all I want to do is just grab it so that it closes it up. So just going straight across, just stay on this side of the project, which is the bad side or the wrong side, and just coming straight across like so. And what that will do is that'll close that gapping space off, and then I would go in the other direction as well. So might as well go in 2 different directions, like across, over, like this. And what that will do is that'll close that center line off, and then just take this strand and just kind of weave it through some of the strands, keeping it on this side of the project. Nobody will ever see this side of it because you're gonna sew this directly to your project. Just like that. So when I go to turn this over in just a moment, is that I am comfortable that my center has now been closed. So let's do that. You're gonna get totally 3 of these done, and then you're gonna join me back here and we're gonna start doing the fin next. Okay, so we have windows. Now let's give the ship some steering power with some tail fins. There are 2, and they are both identical to crochet, and we'll sew them on during the final assembly. In the next part of this project, we're going to do 2 fins, and the fins are really quite easy to do because they're not as wide or anything. They actually go pretty quick. So what's going to happen in these fins as we work along is that you're going to start off at the back end, and you're going to get a little bit bigger, and there's a rhythm to it. See how one side is kind of flat and the other side is kind of growing out? So one side for a while stays the same flatness, and then all of a sudden it will switch over, and this side will stay flatness and that side will gain, and then eventually it will switch, and we will be able to compress it in like this, so the way that it's sewn. So this is actually, if you looked at it from this perspective here, so you're just kind of working your way up, and there is a method to the madness, and it's actually a lot more simpler than you would realize. So let's move along to doing the fin next. So here's what the rocket fin looks like before it's being attached. Pretty cool, right? So this is actually really quite easy. So if you look at it from this perspective, is that we have a flat side that goes up, and we have tapering that is going out. So we're starting right at the very back of the rocket. So eventually what's going to happen is that this side ends up going flat and this side tapers in. No big deal, right? And so then eventually what's going to happen is that this side eventually stays flat and this side tapers. Again, if you go step by step, it's not a big deal. Now I've done my sheet here, and this is my little notes that I did, and what I have here is that we had to repeat rows 5 to 16, and those are repeating rows 3 and 4. So what I had is that it's actually a total repeat of 6 times that it happens. So in the very row 3 is 2 single crochet in the very beginning, and then there's 1 single crochet in each to the end. Row number 4 is just 1 single crochet in each. Then we move down, go to number 2, it's like row 3 again. 2 single crochets in the beginning, 1 single crochet across. and then we hit this again and 1 single crochet. So if you follow it like this, it makes a lot more sense as you're working your way throughout the project. So let's begin and grab our yarn and our hook, and let's get going. So grabbing my teal color again, matching the rocket, I want to start off with a slip knot like so. And kind of like we did with the porthole at the very beginning, we want to chain 2. 1 and 2. Let's already move up to row number 1. Row number 1 says 1 single crochet, second chain from the hook. Well, the second chain is the only one there. Like really, you got it's the first one that you ever started with. So we're just gonna go in and we are going to put in a single crochet in the very first one like so. So that's your very first section. Let's turn our work, okay, and go up for row number 2. Row number 2 says chain 1, and it says to put 3 single crochets in the first single crochet and then turn. But you know what? It's the only crochet that's there. It's only, so you're gonna put 3 single crochets into that one. So 1, 2, and 3, just like that. So let's go for row number 3. So rows 3 and 4 are the repeat pattern. So let's turn our work. In row number 3 it says chain 1 and 2 single crochets into the first one. So just right underneath. So 1 and 2, and it says 1 single crochet in each to the end. So okay, so you're just gonna go 1 there and then the last one. There's a total of 2 in this particular one. Okay, so what's gonna happen is that this side is gonna stay flat, this side's gonna taper off. Turn our work and go for row number 4. Row number 4 says just 1 single crochet into each. So chain 1, coming in and just put 1 single crochet into each one of the stitches going all the way across. And now we're already on to row number 5 to begin. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring it back my worksheet, just show you again, and then I'm gonna leave this for you, and then we're gonna continue along once we get beyond row 16. So now rows 5 to 16 are repeating rows 3 and 4. So this is row 3 and 4, 3 and 4, 3 and 4. It's a total repeat of 6 times that you have to do that. So what I want you to do is just do the first one. So 2 single crochets in the very beginning. So you're gonna chain 1, 2 single crochets in the beginning stitch, 1 single crochet into all the rest. Then you move on to the side, chain 1, 1 single crochet into each. Come down and just do this instruction and then come over and do this and keep moving down just like so. There's a total of 12 lines in here, and this will take you to the end of row number 16 where we'll pick back up on the pattern. So please do that now. Okay, so rows 5 to 16 are now done. You can see it stayed flat and then it came out narrow, and I have the other one here that I've already done. So now that I got 2, I can cross compare to make sure I'm not going off the rails. So now rows number 17 and 18 are just 1 single crochet into each. So chain 1 and 1 single crochet into each. Please do that for rows 17 and 18. 17 and 18 are now complete. So you'll notice here that it went up flat, and that's where we are here. So now we had been growing on this side here just like you see here, and now we're gonna start going flat up this side as you see here, and we're gonna start tapering in the other direction in order to form it. So we're gonna be going off to the side at this moment. Let's review rows number 19 and 20 because there's gonna be a repeat pattern on that as well. So row number 19 we're gonna just chain up 1. We're gonna keep this side now flat, the other side's gonna taper off in this direction. So it's chain up 1, 1 single crochet into each until you get to the very end. Now what's gonna happen in rows number 18 and 19, or sorry 19 and 20, is that we are going to taper on both rows and not just one like we had been before. So last time we were just tapering off, going off, and then the other one is just 1 single crochet into each. So we're not gonna do that. So we're gonna make that jetting out really quite quick. So you're gonna come up to the end and you're going to put 2 single crochets into the very end. That was row number 19. So we're gonna turn our work and go for row number 20. So row number 20 we're gonna chain 1, and in the first one you're gonna put 2 into there. So 1 and 2, and then it's just gonna be 1 single crochet into each all the way, just like this. So what we have to do is that we have to, once we get this done, is that we have to repeat row number 19 and 20 2 more times, and I have that on my worksheet which I'll review in just a moment. But you can see that because you're doing that, it really jetted out real quite quick. and that's exactly what you want in order to maintain the shape of the fin. So you just go right to the very end. So this side continues to stay flat. So what we want to do is bring up our worksheet and I'll show you what to do. So looking right here, we have rows number 19 and 20. We got to do that 2 more times. So again, the first one is 2 single crochets in the last stitch. The next one is 2 single crochets in the first stitch. Then come down and do it again. So there's gonna be a total of 4 rows. Please do that and I'll see you at the end of this, and we'll move along from that point. So I've now just repeated this 2 more times. So we have rows 19 and 20, 2 more time repeats as you see, and it really did jet out. So what we're going to do then for rows number 27, 28, 29 and 30, and again on the worksheet, is just 1 single crochet into each, so you can check off the box as you go across. So just chaining up 1, and the next 4 rows are all gonna be just 1 single crochet into each as you move up, and then we're gonna start doing the decrease as we make our way up even further. So please continue to do this all the way for 4 rows of just 1 single crochet in each. Okay, so now I've just finished from 27 to 30. It's been flat right at this point. It looks like it's just tapering, but it's actually flat, and it's just the way that the stitches line up, and that's what makes it great. So now we're going to move on to row number 31, and now we're gonna start tapering off on this side, okay, and heading into the other direction, and this side is going to start staying flat. So when I go to look at the original sample, just like you see here, see it goes off and then we're at the flat, and so this side is going to taper and this side is going to stay flat. Let's move along to row number 31. So let's start on row number 31. We've got rows number 27 to 30 done, and so let's do number 31. So 31, we don't chain up first, we just slip into the very first stitch that we had, and then we pull through, and then we go to the next one and pull through, and we've got 3 loops on the hook. We're gonna pull through all 3 to make that a together stitch. Okay, so single crochet 2 together, that's what you just did. So it's gonna be 1 single crochet into each going all the way across. So we're starting the tapering going on this side of the fin, and the other side we're going to start maintaining it to be flat. Please continue to do that, and I'll see you on the end of this row, and we'll move up to row number 32. So row number 32, I'm just finishing up row 31. Turn and work. Row 32 is very simple. It's just 1 single crochet. So chain up 1, 1 single crochet into each. So we have to repeat row number 31 and 32 once again, and so let's just go all the way across here. It's just 1 single crochet into each. There's no fancy footwork here, and I'll see you at the end of this row. So I'm coming up to the end of the row, and it's 1 single crochet into each. Remember that these are 2 together, so this is where you're going to be stopping. Okay, so don't accidentally think you're gonna get this chain. You got to keep that, so it's gonna keep going up. So let's just turn and work. We're gonna repeat rows number 31 once again. Remember that there is no chain this time, and just going into the first stitch and the second, you're gonna do a single crochet 2 together, and then it's just 1 single crochet in each going across. I'll see you at the end of this row. So I'm coming up to the end of the row, turn and work, and we're repeating row number 32. So remember row number 32 is just chain up 1 and 1 single crochet into each. So you remember when you get back to the other side is that you did that 2 together in the last row. That make sure that you are being conscientious of which stitch that is, and I'll see you there in just a moment. So I'm coming up to the end, and this again is the repeat of row number 32. So coming right to the top of here. So you can see it's just naturally kind of just, you know, taking that projection. Let's turn our work, and we're gonna review the next 2 rows. The next 2 rows are repeat pattern, and now we're significantly going to be decreasing as we come across. So we're gonna be coming in more like this. So it's gonna be a really good time. So let's begin to do this. This is the next row, and then we're gonna do the row after, and then we have some repeats to do in order to make this work. So let's begin to do the next row. So the first time around what we're going to do is chain 1, and we single crochet the 2 together. Okay, so the first 2 are gonna be 2 together. So we're gonna be getting more and more narrow as we get across, and then it's just 1 single crochet into each. So essentially this row and the next row is all about just telling you which side is the single crochet 2 together. That's really as hard as it gets, and of course I've created a worksheet in order for you to be able to follow that along as well. So this is not like it was down here at the beginning of the fin where we did a slow taper. This is going to be more of a rapid taper as we do this, because every row is going to be getting narrow and more narrow. So once you have this done, let's move up to the next row. So this is the second part of the repeat. Okay, so this time chain 1, keeping this area flat. We are just doing 1 single crochet into each except for the very final 2 where we're gonna do 2 together. So you're going to notice in the instructions that it says to repeat the last 2 rows until 2 stitches remaining. Well, because you're decreasing on the one side like this, you're getting less and less stitches. So you just gotta keep repeating until there's only 2 stitches left. Now because I've already done the one ahead of time, I figured out how many rows that is and I marked it on the worksheet as well. So the very final 2 is just gonna be 2 together when you do this row. Do you get that? Does that make sense? So it's gonna be quite nice and easy in order to do it like that. And let me just pull up the worksheet and just review that quickly. So you're now here and it says to do a repeat until you get 2 stitches left. Okay, so we're gonna move on. So the next row here is the single crochet 2 together is at the beginning of the row. That will leave you 9 stitches. The next row is single together is at the end of the row. That leaves you with 8, and so on and so on. Flip the paper and you will then work your way all the way down. So there's a total of 8 rows. I figured it out, and you can use the spreadsheet in order for you to be able to mark it off as you go. So please do all of this continuing to decrease, whether it's on the front side or of the beginning or the end of the row. So I've now just done all of the repeat rows and all I have is 2 left over, so just chain up 1 and the final 2 are just 2 together at the end, and then you can fasten off. So both of my fins are now complete. Make sure you get 2 done. Just reverse back in this video in order to do it. Make sure that you just put them over top of each other. Make sure that they align with each other perfectly, and then you can move up. So we're going to move on to the flame, the final part of the crochet of this spaceship. Well, no ship is complete without some rocket booster fuel. Let's give the ship a fantastic flame that comes out of the tail end. It's easier than it looks, and a free crochet diagram is also included to help you. Let's begin. So let's begin the final chapter in the flame, and the flame does not work in a complete circle like I assumed it did, and we're going to go row by row, and there is a beautiful little diagram and I'm going to talk about that next. So I got some goodies for you, and let's do the flame and then we're going to start the final assembly after that. So in the instructions by Yarnspirations, they have the diagram just like you see here, and this is what the flame is happening. So we're going to be using a mix of yellow and orange in order to create the flame look. So I'm a huge diagram reader. I love diagrams, and this is what the diagram looks blown up. So I just took a screenshot and blew it up. And what we're going to do is that we're going to start off in the very beginning and work our way across, and we are just going to keep our stitches in count and then coming all the way around and then back. And then it's a row. So what we're gonna do is that we start up here then of chaining 1 and then we come back in this direction. Do you see that? And then we then go in the other direction. So we're gonna go back and forth. We just got to pay attention to the color change that we're gonna do, and let's begin to do the flame next. So let's begin to do the flame. I'm gonna be using orange, and let's insert our hook. And we need to chain 19. Remember, the first one never counts as 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19. So there is your 19. So there is the center of the flame right there. So I'm going to go slowly in the flame process so that you can follow along. So here we have the chain, and what I want to pay attention to is the back of the chain. I want to get that back loop only when I go to play on the very first time around. So I want to go second chain from the hook, so just look underneath the chain, and it's 1 and 2, and just turn it over and get the back loop only of that, the second one, and I want you to single crochet in that. Once you get the first one in, the rest of them is really easy. So it's 1, and then I want to do 2 more in a row of single crochet. So just moving down, once you've done the first back chain, the rest of the loops just pop out right in front of you. So let's do 2 more in a row. So it's single crochet, so 1 and 2. We're now going to make the flame bigger. So we're actually at the area of the back of the tail right here, and we're gonna get bigger then as the flame builds out. So the next two are going to be half double crochets each. So just wrap that hook first before you do your halves, and so 2 in a row will be half double crochet. Now the flame is gonna get even bigger now, and the next two are going to be double crochets. So just continuing to move down the chain, double crochet in the next two, 1 and 2. I'm actually reading the diagram slowly as I'm going across this, just so you're aware. So the next three are going to be the center of the flame pretty much, and that's gonna be treble. So you're gonna wrap that hook twice going into the next chain, and you're gonna pull through 2, 2 and 2. Okay, and do that 2 more times. So treble into the next one, and then treble once again. So now the flame is going to get more narrow in the center. So the next two are going to be 2 double crochet, or 1 double crochet each. So a double crochet for the next two. So 1 and 2. Okay, we're gonna get more narrow now. The next two are gonna be half double crochets. So 1 and 2, just like that. And now the next three are going to be 1 single crochet each. So we'll continue to move on. So 1, 2 and 3. Now you've got 1 stitch left. So in the final stitch here, you're going to put 3 single crochets as you turn. And what we're going to do then is that we're gonna operate ourselves down the other side of this chain. So we've been going across the chain like this. So as I'm going to put in my 3, it's gonna turn the flame upside down. So doing the next one. So you're gonna put 3 into the final. So watch what I do. So 1, and I'm naturally just turning the project as I go. And I'm gonna put another one in there. So this is gonna be 2. And I'm gonna put another one in here, and this will be 3. And so I've kind of went around in a full corner. So this was the underside of the chain that we were working with it, and now we're just gonna go all the way down the other side. So let's begin to do that next. So now I'm gonna go down the opposite side. So whatever's on this side is going to be mirrored on the side that I'm about to start. Okay, so what I have to do is that remember that the first 3 that we did on this side here is going to be each 1 single crochet. So let's just do that. So we're just gonna single crochet into the first 3. So 1, 2 and 3. Do you remember we did that? Then the next 2 are 2 half double crochets in a row. So 1 and 2. Then the next 2 are double crochets. So 1 and 2. The next 3, just like it was on the other side, is 3 trebles. So 1 to wrap that hook twice. So there's 3 trebles in a row. So there is 2. This is the third one. I've never done anything like this before. This is really neat. Okay, so we've got 3 trebles done, and now the next 2 are 2 double crochets, or sorry, the next 2 are 1 double crochet each. I don't know why I keep doing that, sorry about that. And the next 2 are half double crochets, and then finally the last 3 are 1 single crochet each. So 1, 2 and 3. Look at that. See? Perfect. So there is the middle flame. It's gonna come out just like so. It's gonna build out in the next ones, but that's what it looks like right now. So let's begin row number 2. We're gonna keep this color one more time, and we're gonna start. So we're gonna chain up 1, and I'm gonna go slowly again. So the first 3 are single crochets each. So 1, 2 and 3. The next 2 are 1 half double crochet each. So 1 and 2. The next 2 are going to be a double crochet. So 1 and 2. Okay, so there's 3 trebles that are next. So the first one is going to get 1 treble, and we're going to do some expansion on the second one, which is the middle one, and in the middle one, which is next, is going to be 3 trebles into that same one to allow it to grow and expand to create that whole look that we need. So there's going to be 3 trebles into this one, which is the middle treble one, and the project should be able to relax and sit down once you get that in, which it is. And then the next one is the last treble, and they're going to match that with the treble again. Okay, so we're now going to get more narrow once again. So let's begin. So the next 2 are going to be double crochet. So 1 and 2. The next 2 are half doubles. So 1 and 2. The next what do we got here? We have the next 3 are single crochets each. So we got 1, 2 and 3, and the next one is going to have 2 single crochets into it. So 1 and 2, and then finally, as you're coming up all the way around, the next one, which is the middle one of the back end, okay, is going to be 1 single crochet followed by a double crochet into the same one, followed by a single crochet into the same one. So there was a single, double, single, all into that one. So we're now just turning our work and coming down the opposite side. So let's begin to do that. So the next one is going to be 2, or the next one is 2 single crochets. So 1 and 2 into the same one. The next 3 are by themselves, or just single crochets each. So 1, 2 and 3. The next 2 are half doubles each. So 1 and 2. The next 2 are double crochets each. So 1 and 2, and we'll hit our trebles once again. So here's our trebles right here. I can see by the height of them that they are the trebles too. And the first one is going to be a treble by itself, and the next one is the middle one. So this one is going to get a total of 3 trebles into the same one. So 1, that was my pencil, 1, 2 and 3. Okay, the next one is a treble, so I'm gonna put a treble into that one, and we're gonna get more narrow once again. Okay, so the next 2 are doubles, double crochet, so 1 and 2. The next 2 are half doubles, 1 and 2. And the final 3 is 1 single crochet each. So 1, 2 and 3, and this color is officially done. So I want you to fasten off at this point so you can see it. It really does look like a flame. That's really cool. Never done anything like that. I'm actually really proud of myself when I do something unusual like this. It gives me ideas for yarn artistry down the road. So I'm just weaving in the ends, and I'm going to be bringing yellow back into the picture, and that'll conclude the flame. So we still have a few more rows to go, but I'm really liking the direction at this moment, and that's your flame kind of jutting out the back of the ship. Okay, so I'm going to begin row number 3. So this is where I finished off. I've already woven in my end of the orange, and this is where I want to join the new color, and I'm going to create a slip knot to begin using school bus yellow. This will be the rest of the flame, and I'm going to pull through and then just pull through the yarn again to slip stitch it in. So chain 1, and coming into the same stitch I want to put in a single crochet, just like that. So I'm going to move down, and that one plus 7 more is all single crochet. So just keep going. So this is going to be 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6, 7 and 8. So including the first one there should be 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. So the next 3 are going to be a total, and this here you'll see it's in the 3 of the trebles. So these 3 here are all going to be 2 single crochets each. So 1 and 2. Move to the next one in the middle, it's going to be 2. So 1 and 2, and then finally the next one, 1 and 2. So the next ones here, the next one is going to be a half double, just like that. And now we're going to move to double crochets for 10 in a row. So the next 10 are all going to be doubles. So we're going to, I'll count those out. So 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And that takes you right to the very back one. Okay, the next stitch is the very back middle. And so this one here, there's going to be 1 double crochet in there so far. Okay, so we're going to put 1 in, then we're going to put 3 trebles into the same one again. So let's put 3 trebles in. So 1, 2, and 3. And then finally just got to do 1 more stitch in there, which will be a double crochet. So it's going to be 1 double, 3 trebles, and 1 double. So now I kind of just naturally turned the project out as I went. Okay, so the next one is going to be the next 10 are all going to be double crochet. So let's count those out. So just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, and the next one is going to be a half double. Is that right? Yep, half double. And the next one, oh look at that, see? You got your 3 trebles right into the same stitch, so that is meaning I'm right. And so these will each be 2 singles each. So 1 and 2, and 1 and 2, and finally 1 and 2. And now all stitches now remaining to the end here, and there's a total of 8 of them, will all be single crochets each. So let's count those. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Look at that. Counts are so important with this one. There you go. So that's what it looks like so far. That is round number 3. Let's turn our work and do the second last row, which is number 4. So here we go, and let's begin. We're gonna chain up 1 to begin and then single crochet into that same one. So that one plus 8 more friends. Okay, so it's gonna be a total of 9. So let's start and count that as 1 of 9. So this is 1, this is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Just like that. Okay, so the next one is going to be 2 singles into the same one. So 1 and 2. And then the next 2 are by themselves. So 1 and 2. Okay, so 2 in a row. The next one's 2 into the same one again. So 1 and 2. And finally just 1 single crochet sitting by itself. The next one is a half double as we get a little bit bigger. And finally the next 10 are all going to be double crochet. So let's count those out. So 1, 2, 3, this is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So now the game plan is going to change. So the next two in a row are each going to be 2 double crochets into the same one. So 1 and 2 for the first one, and the next one is 1 and 2 into the next. There you go. And now we're on to the middle one here at the back. So the middle one here this time is going to be 2 double crochets into the same one. So 1 and 2. The next one is a treble into the same one, and to finish that one off it's going to be 2 doubles once again into that same one. So there's 2 doubles and 1 treble and 2 doubles all into the same one. And now let's rotate around and go the other side. So the next 2 in a row, they're each going to be let me just make sure I can see my stitches here. The next 2 are going to be 2 double crochets each. Better wrap that hook first though, right? Don't forget that, Mikey. So here we go. So 1 and 2, that's the first one. The next one's also got 2 in there. So 1 and 2. And carrying along is that we have 10 double crochets in a row. So we got 1, 2, 3, this is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And the next one is going to be a half double crochet, so put in the next one's a half. So the half doubles in. So the next one's going to be a single crochet, and the next one after that is going to be 2 single crochets. So 1 and 2. The next one is 2 single crochets in a row, so 1 and 2. And then the next one is 2 single crochets into the same one, so 1 and 2. And now the remaining 9 that you have is all going to be single crochets each. So we can count those out if you wish. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. That's it for row number 4. Keep the same color, and you can get rid of your loose ends if you want to at this time if you have these still hanging out of your project, and you can get rid of those. And let's go for the final row, which is number 5. So let's do row number 5. I was just doing some research, making sure I understand the pattern. So let's begin. We are going to do a lot of trebles in this particular one, and here we go. So I'm just following along, and to start, let's chain up 1, and I'm going to single crochet into that one plus 10 more, which gives me a total of 11. So let's count that as one of the 11. So this is going to be number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. So the next 3 are going to be half double crochets each. So we got 1, 2, and 3. Just as a full disclaimer, I'm not remembering that. It's just I have my sheet in front of me for the diagram, and I write on my diagram so to help me teach you. The next 3 are 1 double crochet each. So 1, 2, and 3, which is this one. Okay, so we're going to start our treble work next. The next 2 are a treble each. So I got 1, and this is the second one. Now the next one is going to have 2 trebles in there to allow expansion. So let's put 2 trebles into this one. So 1 and 2. Now the next 3 are 1 treble each. So I have 1 Do another one for 2. And the final one there for 3. And then we're going to do another expansion. Okay, so the next one's going to have 2 trebles into the same one. So 1 and 2. Okay, and now the next 3 are going to be trebles each. 1 treble each. So 1. This is 2. And this is 3. And then we're going to do another expansion. There's going to be 2 trebles into this next one. So 1 and 2. Just like you see. Okay, and what we have is the next 5 are going to be each a treble. So we're going to have 5 in a row that are all trebles. So 1. This is 2. 3. This is 4. And 5. Now the next one is right on the back end, the tail end of the flame. It's the middle one. And what I want to do there is that I want to put a total of 5 trebles right into that next one. So let's do that. So it's right in the tail end of the flame. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now let's go down the other side. So I'm just turning it so you can see it's really kind of turning out really quite nice. So the next ones here, there's going to be 5 trebles right in a row. Okay, so let's count those out. So 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, and 5. Just like that. So the next 2 are going to be an expansion. So let's put 2 into the same one, 2 trebles. So 1 and 2. Then the next 3 are just 1 treble each. So 1, 2, and 3. Okay, we're going to do another expansion. So the next one's going to have 2 trebles into there. So 1 and 2, just like that. Now we're going to do another 3 trebles in a row. So 1, 2, and 3. Another expansion is going in. So 2 trebles into the next one. So 1 and 2. And then finally for the treble area here, the next 2 are just 1 treble each. So 1 and 2. Just like you see there. So now we're going to get smaller now, and so the next 3 will each be double crochet. So 1, this is 2 and 3. The next 3 are half double crochets. So you have 1, 2, and 3. And finally the remaining 11 will all be 1 single crochet each. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. Look how I did that, eh? So that's it. So what I want to do is that I'm going to leave an extra long tail here, and I'm going to use that for a sewing when I go to sew it to the actual ship. So now I'm just pulling through the strand, and I'm going to use that strand. It's obviously way too long, I think, but I'm going to use that then to sew this flame to the back of the ship when I'm ready. And now we're going to just review and go through the assembly process in order to put everything together. Finally, you're at the point of putting this ship together. So everything has been complete, and I will be demonstrating the whip stitch on using the photograph provided by yarnspirations.com, and just use a measuring tape and a darning needle and you'll put everything together. I'm going to show you a fast forward motion of what I did in order to put it together. So I'm now ready for the final assembly, and we used a photograph to be able to tell where to put everything, and you just have to start eyeing things out and putting things together. The first thing we need to do is that we need to put the top and the bottom of the main body together. Remember, we do not sew in the blue here. We only sew along here. Now what we want to do in the bottom here, when we get to here, we want to change the color of the sewing to being the same color just for this section, and then bring it back to orange for there. Therefore you won't have any bleeding of any orange going through the blue at all. And then what you can just do then is then sew on your portholes just like so. Just use this photograph to be able to put everything together. Then you can put on your fins and then your tail. It doesn't really matter which order you put things on as long as you're consistent when you go to do so. I'm going to show you some techniques on showing you how to do the whip stitch, and we're going to let you then go from that point forward in order to put everything together. So I'm now about to sew the two pieces together. Okay, we got 1 and 2. So what I want to do with the blue is that I want to keep the blue here, and then I'm going to change it out and do orange for the rest of it. This will be the inside of the sack once I commit and make this as part of the project. What I want to do on the other side, just create a slip knot, and you can use that to really fasten things in. And on the other side just put a darning needle. So whip stitch just means that you're going through both sections at the same time, kind of like whipping around. I'm not really sure why it's called that. I'm sure one of you know that out there, and you can leave that hint. So what I want to do is just match the blue together and coming up across from each other just like this. And when I get close to that slip knot that I created, I've just put that needle through the slip knot, and that will lock it into place. Just like that. So I just want to pull it nice. Now what I'm gonna just do is that I just glide in one side and out the other. So I'm getting both of the panels at the same time, and I'm just going up and over it like that. It's called a whip stitch. So I just want to take my time. I don't want to jump too many spaces at one time. I also just want to concentrate on going into the chain stuff. I never want to go in massive gaps. If you go into massive gaps, it really shows when the project is turned the other way. So just make sure you stay within the chains. Now here, because you've gone across the bottom, you can just go into the stitches and match the stitches across from each other. They should both be identical. And all you're just gonna do is that you're just gonna whip stitch stuff together just like this, regardless if it's a porthole or whatever. So now that I'm gonna go across this, this is now the inside of my snuggle sack. I'm also gonna do the orange, and then before I proceed, then I'm going to flip it with the right side out so that I can see the good side, and then I'm gonna sew on all the rest of this fun stuff. And I use the whip stitching technique in order to put the portholes, the flame, and the fins. Use the photograph to help you, and what I'm gonna do for you is that I'm gonna do a fast forward video of me putting this whole thing together. Just got to clean up my studio a little bit and then back away from the desk, and then I'll show you how to do all of that in fast motion. My friends at yarnspirations.com and myself, Mikey of the Crochet Crowd, would love to thank you so much for making this blast off snuggle sack with me today. It's been a pleasure to teach you, and if you're looking for more free patterns and tutorial ideas, you can count on us to keep the inspiration free and the ideas flowing. Have an amazing day and hope to see you back here real soon. Take care now. Bye-bye.